The biggest bully. Meghan's most cruel behavior was not towards Catherine. This is the most despicable act. I'll go deeper to discuss this with you. Again, hello, and thank you so much for coming back to Kate Middleton and the Queen channel. Okay, so on March 8th, 2024, this year, Meghan Markle was sitting on a panel doing her typical word salad that included victimhood, some dish soap, and of course, being bullied. So let's go back to Meghan's own bullying history. So, first of all, she was bullying palace staff left, right, and center. And how about the time that she was so awful in the way that she bullied Princess Charlotte? In that situation, Meghan Markle made Catherine cry during that bridesmaid's dress fight. The Princess of Wales supposedly burst into tears after Meghan compared Charlotte unfavorably to her best friend, Jessica Mulroney's daughter. And the reason was that the hem on poor little Charlotte's dress was uneven. That's cruel, though. There's not a dressmaker out there who would sew a hem that poorly or just let it go like that. It was such a simple style as well. I'm sure it was intentional. I mean, such a huge faux pas for such an obvious mistake to be allowed in a globally televised event. That designer's house would have been mortified. That actual seamstress in charge of Charlotte's dress would have been fired immediately. So what? Did Meghan Markle pay some big bribe so they would allow for such an atrocity? I think the only saving grace here is that Charlotte was little enough that it wouldn't have a real impact on her well being that day. But she's going to get older. She is getting older, and she's becoming more aware of the dynamics. And of course, that's bound to change. I do hope that with her parents' guidance, she can laugh at how petty her former aunt was on that day. By trying to humiliate poor little Princess Charlotte and her parents that day, all Meghan really did was expose herself as an evil, evil witch. She tried to make poor Charlotte look bad, while she's the only one who came out looking bad. I mean, and that comes straight from the mouth, too, of the most hateful, dramatic, malicious woman ever to cross the threshold of the royal family. She does have some nerve, I gotta give her credit for that. It seems like Meghan Markle doesn't bother seeing or acknowledging all the damage that she has caused. Seems like she's just emotionally blind to all of it. So incredibly cruel towards the whole family. But worst of all, she was a nasty bully to a 3-year-old girl. And also, she mocked the beloved late queen who did her duty right to the very end, in spite of the fact that she was ill and she was mourning the love of her life. But of course, it's only bullying when we call Meghan out on her behavior. We're the bullies, not her. Honestly, though, I'm not really surprised all that happened. Meghan is so jealous of Princess Catherine and Prince William and their lovely children. But it just reflects badly on her. And we all know it was not the child or her mother either, for that matter. And Meghan Markle had the gall to lecture other women about cruelty on International Women's Day. We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried. Thanks to Tom Bower's book, all our suspicions about Meghan Markle's bullying ways were confirmed. Now, up to this day, and already over a year, Meghan Markle still has not filed suit against Tom Bower. I mean, if you think to yourselves, who would do such a thing? Who would be such a vicious bully to a beautiful little girl like that? Meghan Markle's behavior was not catty, it was so much worse. It was cruel, it was evil. And just think about how long it took to plan that wedding and using Givenchy as the designer. I mean, you would think that every dress would be absolutely perfect. Megan said that other members of staff didn't understand her way of doing things and she wasn't there to coddle people. Well, that doesn't mean you need to be abusive. And what about Megan's wedding dress? Why didn't it fit her body appropriately? And the bridesmaids weren't finished, and she supposedly had to get a tailor to finish all the dresses. So this poor tailor, bless their heart, was supposed to have done these big refits to the kids' dresses and worked all night long? There's just something so weird about this whole story. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would Givenchy have allowed those dresses to go out before they were even finished? After all, these designers have a worldwide reputation to uphold. I mean, they were the design team for Audrey Hepburn. Now, I think we know why Megan's dress didn't fit right. Givenchy has already said the wedding dress did not fit her well because Megan kept changing her mind. I'm sure they wish they had never agreed to that job. I think, though, we can all agree on one thing. Nothing and nobody is ever going to be good enough for Meghan Markle. She's also a control freak, but she's so sloppy in everything she does. Perhaps she was just hoping that Catherine was going to stay up all night trying to remake little Charlotte's dress. I mean, the exchange of texts were released about go to the tailor, and it blew up in her face. Perhaps Catherine showed the world this is what Meghan wants, so this is what she's going to get. Charlotte looked beautiful, perfect at other weddings, and Catherine, well, she always looks impeccable. Meghan Markle also insisted on having a hairdresser flown over from France. I mean, why? It looked like the same outdated, messy updo that she always has. Apparently, she refused to go to the fittings for Givenchy. Considering that the Eurostar would have brought anybody from Paris to London in around a couple of hours, I can believe that. So the designer ended up leaving Givenchy in April of 2020. Her name was Claire White Keller. And Meghan Markle just pushed Rosamund Pike off the stage when Claire was given an award back in 2018. Ms. Pike obviously was not so amused. Meghan, as always, gate crashed it and tried to make it all about herself. Have you noticed, though, that she only really comes alive when she's trying to twist the narrative? I mean, the look of incredulity, that jutted jaw, the smirk on her face is disgusting. Makes me want to slap her, and I promise I'm not a violent person. Maybe Meghan Markle needs to do about 10 back to back events. Everybody should have a chance to see how empty, how thick, and ignorant she is. She can have 10 or more opportunities to repeat her lies, the dishwashing story, and how she cannot answer a question that isn't all about her, her feelings, and her perceptions. There would certainly be no coming back from that. The truth is, evil, abusive liars cannot help themselves. They can't stop being evil, abusive liars. Takers, grifters like Meghan cannot stop their grifting, taking ways. And there's no PR in the world that's going to be able to fix that. Psychopaths have something wrong with their brains, and that's not a guaranteed precursor to antisocial behavior, actually. Actually, there are some pro social psychopaths. Now, the more straightforward diagnosis is one that takes into account both Megan's antisocial behavior and her narcissistic behavior. So, we would call that malignant narcissism. It is narcissistic personality disorder, but with some added traits of sadism, paranoia, and antisocial behaviors. Malignant narcissists have all the traits necessary to do the more sadistic bullying that we can ascribe to Meghan Markle. So calling her a psychopath is really an unnecessary addition. And FYI, the reason that Meghan keeps on bouncing back is that she never accepts any fault ever. She believes she's done nothing wrong. Part of her disorder is defending her false ego of protection against any outside claim of fault. So basically, malignant narcissism is a lot like a drug. I mean, it's like a drug that keeps Megan from believing anything bad said about her by anyone at any time. People with narcissistic personality disorder or malignant narcissism are typically not that susceptible to negative comments until or unless their false ego of protection falls apart. And that's when they will bounce right back. See, their disorder convinces them the delusion that they really are superior to all others is true, and other people just don't see it yet. But anyway, back to Megan's complaints. Now, maybe this is a dumb question considering Megan's remark, but did this sacred time not apply to the late Queen's husband, the late Duke of Edinburgh? He was dying while Harry and Meghan were up there on a world platform, claiming all kinds of stupid stuff from racism to isolation of Meghan, and that she was considering self harm. And it was all attributed to the way the royals had treated her. Did she consider what kinds of feelings the late queen was experiencing during her husband's last days on this earth? And after all this was happening, Meghan insisted on an apology from the queen. Honestly, I'm shocked that Meghan didn't insist on a curtsy too. It seems like Harry and Meghan are getting extremely bold. So, maybe it really is time to just take away the titles, especially considering all the nonsense those two are continually stirring up in the media. I don't think they would dare go after the big bosses of Netflix and Spotify, but I guess the royals are an easy target to Harry and Meghan. They're recovering from a difficult time. Maybe they seem a little vulnerable right now. And they want to return to this toxic environment to help the royals by stepping in to fill a vacuum in the currently short staffed royal family. That was stated by Angie Morgan in the News International. Well, in that case, God help the king and the monarchy as a whole. At least the journalists are building up their bank accounts, though, especially the ones with families to support. And you, what do you think about Harry and Meghan? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share this video with anybody else who would enjoy it anytime you want. And please subscribe to our Kate Middleton and the Queen YouTube channel to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll be back to see you tonight.